Living in the coastal paradise of Coronado, California, just outside San Diego, Scott and Taylor Reekins had built a life that looked perfect from the outside. They leased brand new cars, including a BMW. They owned an entire fleet of kayaks, paddleboards, and surfboards to match their beach town zip code, and regularly booked spontaneous weekend trips and expensive dinners. But the financial reality behind the scenes was incredibly tight. In 2016, the couple brought home $142,000 after taxes. By the end of the year, they had spent $132,000 of it just to maintain their standard of living. This animation illustrates a phenomenon known as lifestyle creep. Whenever a person's income goes up, their expenses tend to rise right along with it, swallowing the new money before it can ever be saved. The breaking point arrived when their daughter, Jovi, was born. To keep up with their massive overhead, Taylor had to end her maternity leave early and go back to work. She was paying a nanny $2,500 a month to watch her newborn, while she spent 8 hours a day at an office just to pay the bills. Watching his wife struggle, Scott started desperately looking for a way out. He spent his evenings listening to business podcasts and researching startups, hoping to stumble onto a $1 million idea that could fix their cash flow. They had high-paying jobs and beautiful things, but they were exhausted. Earning a massive salary offers little actual freedom if it requires selling all your waking hours just to pay for the illusion of success. Then, Scott discovered the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. The core philosophy requires drastic cuts to everyday spending, and Scott was terrified to ask Taylor to give up the luxuries they worked so hard to afford. Instead of arguing about budgets, he tried a different approach. He asked Taylor to sit down and write out a simple list of the 10 things that brought her the most joy on a weekly basis. When they compared lists, the results were incredibly revealing. Taylor's favorite moments were having coffee, reading to her baby, going for walks, and enjoying a glass of wine. Almost entirely free or incredibly cheap. Scott's list was nearly identical. Yet when they looked at where their money actually went, the luxury cars, the beach house, and the restaurant meals that cost them $130,000 a year didn't make either list. Their chronic financial stress wasn't caused by a lack of income. They were trapped by a severe misalignment between how they spent their money and what actually made them happy. Once they understood their true values, Scott and Taylor dug into the FIRE math. The main goal of the movement is to save exactly 25 times your annual living expenses, but you don't just put that cash under a mattress. This chart shows savings invested into index funds, bundles of stocks tracking the market, growing exponentially through compounding returns. Hitting the 25 times target triggers the 4% rule. Withdrawing just 4% annually allows the principal to survive inflation and regenerate a sustainable income loop. Scott ran their numbers through a retirement calculator. Based on their old lifestyle of spending $120,000 a year, it would take them over 34 years of mandatory work to hit their target. But if they aligned their spending with their joy list and cut their expenses down to $60,000 a year, the math shifted dramatically. Their timeline to retirement dropped to just 11 years. By simply eliminating the bloated spending on things they didn't actually care about, Scott and Taylor effectively bought back more than 2 decades of their lives. Hearing a story like this, it is perfectly natural to be skeptical. Saving half your income sounds like an easy math trick when you're taking home a 6-figure salary. Take Jillian, for example. She lives in Montana and manages a family of 7 on a combined average income of just $60,000. Using the exact same principles, Jillian and her husband lived entirely on his military salary while aggressively saving hers. Over the years, they paid off $55,000 in debt and eventually saved enough to buy a house with cash. Because they kept their overhead extremely low, they gained the financial margin to adopt 3 siblings out of the foster system, and they now routinely take year-long mini-retirements to travel the world. Financial independence doesn't require a massive tech salary or a trust fund. It is a highly scalable mathematical formula that works across a wide range of income brackets. The biggest misconception about FIRE is the retire early part of the name. Reaching your financial target doesn't mean you are forced to sit idle on a beach for 40 years. In practice, financial independence is about absolute autonomy. It means having the power to walk away from a toxic boss, the ability to stay home with a newborn, or the safety net to pursue a creative passion without worrying about a paycheck. Traditional wealth is highly visible. We can see the leased BMWs, the giant coastal houses, and the designer clothes. Financial freedom, on the other hand, is completely invisible. When you clear away the consumer debt and the endless pursuit of the next pay raise, you are left with something far more valuable. True wealth is never measured by the amount of stuff you own. It's measured by the sheer amount of your own time you actually control.